It's time to step behind the scenes and take a closer look at the Owen Sound Attack. This is Bear Tracker Weekly. Here's your host, JC Coots.
Well, hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 27 of the Bear Tracker Weekly podcast. What a week it's been, the final week of the OHL regular season and the final game. What excitement that was. Well, wait a minute. Excitement might not be the right word for Attack fans. Anxiety, dread, all of it, all the emotions in that final game against the Kitchener Rangers. What ends up being an 8-7 overtime win for the Owen Sound Attack, but at one point early in the third period was a 6-1 lead for Owen Sound, and then just absolute craziness occurred. The absolute craziest junior hockey game ever played was witnessed at the Bayshore on Saturday night. Really, none of us who have seen a lot of hockey can even describe what we saw on Saturday night, but entertaining at the end of the day, I'm sure, for Attack fans and the like. Attack, though, this is the key. They end up finishing in 6th place in the Western Conference. That was a goal of the players. That was the highest they could have finished based on the last few weeks, and so they made that a goal. They accomplished that. They also win more games, one more game than last year, and get more points than they did last season. So a step in the right direction for the Attack as they now prepare to face the Flint Firebirds in the playoffs. Yes, I'm recording this just as the game between Windsor and the Sioux has come to an end. The Sioux beat the Greyhounds and Carter George by a score of 5-3. That means that Sault Ste. Marie will not have home ice in the opening round. London gets that for the 4 and 5 seeds going at it. And it also means Owen Sound will face Flint. In fact, Flint is the last team the Owen Sound Attack beat in the playoffs. You'd have to go back to 2022 and what was a 7-game series between those two teams, but that's the last time Owen Sound won a playoff game. It's been 3 straight years of sweeps at the Bayshore, twice the last 2 years at the hands of the eventual Memorial Cup champion. But this year might be a little bit different, especially after that last game of the season we saw against Flint last Wednesday. I got to do play-by-play for that game on Rogers TV, and all of a sudden, that seemed like a different Attack team that came out to play. Mind you, they did face Flint's backup goaltender. Mason Vicari was on the bench, of course. But you just had to, after the way that the season series had gone against Flint, with Flint scoring 6 goals in every contest before that final one, you had to be a little bit worried about where the Attack were at against the Firebirds, but it looked like they're in a much better place now. So a little bit of confidence for them going into this first round series. The schedule, we'll get to it coming up later on in the show. We do have a busy show this week, so we probably should get going and get into the interviews. We have all 3 Overage players this week are joining us. Lenny Greenberg, Noah Roberts, and Noah Nelson are all on the podcast. We also have assistant coach Reagan O'Grady. Adrien Mousseau is going to be here hopefully later on. I'm recording the first part of this podcast early on Sunday. Adrien is not going to be home until late Sunday night, so he might be at the end of this podcast or he might not, depending on how things work out. Hopefully he is, but either way, it's going to be a long one. We also, of course, have the Media Room Roundtable coming up. We'll talk about the Overagers and the impact they have made with their OHL careers. So let's get into it. Episode 27 starts now. Well, Noah Nelson came to the Owen Sound Attack from the Brantford Bulldogs organization earlier this year. That is the team he had spent his entire OHL career with up to that point. Had a good chance to talk to Noah about that, plus what the future might hold for him. Here's my conversation with Noah Nelson after the Attack's win over Kitchener on Saturday night.
First of all, was that the craziest hockey game you've ever played in for your last regular season game in the Ontario Hockey League?
Yeah, no, you're right. It definitely was the craziest one I've ever been a part of. Obviously thankful that we got the job done there, and we secured our spot here now. So,
yeah, you're in 6th place now. That's known for sure. What we don't know right now is our conversation who you're going to be playing in round 1. But the Owen Sound Attack, they do a couple things that they were hoping to do. They finished 6th place. You finished with more wins and more points than the team did last year. So everything, despite everything that's happened this year, it's improvement, no matter how you look at it. How do you look back now at this season for the team and knowing that you're heading into the playoffs in the 6th position? I'm sure that's got to give you a little bit of confidence, especially the way this team has played these last few weeks.
No, yeah, I said it in the other interview too. Obviously, we finished 6th, like you said. That was huge for us. We didn't get the job done in Guelph last night, so we knew coming into here we had to win. And like you said earlier too, it wasn't the way we thought it was going to go. But at the end of the day, we got the win, and we're gonna dial in here in the next 2 days and get ready for whoever we play.
It was a special moment before the game. Of course, all the Overage players were honored, yourself included. And even though you spent the majority of your career in the Ontario Hockey League with the Bulldogs organization, you got to finish it here in Owen Sound. I guess my first question, as you look back on your OHL career, what are some of your favorite memories that have happened in the time that you've spent in this league?
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of ups and downs. Obviously, that's what hockey is. I guess I can speak for me and Robbie on this one. Obviously, being a part of that championship team in 2022, we only played about 15 games, but being a part of that and seeing how a team wins and what it takes and stuff, and I think that's what me and Robbie can bring into this upcoming playoffs. That's probably the biggest one. That's all I can think of right now. I don't know. That one's pretty special. Obviously, like not a lot of kids can do that in the OHL, and I'm very proud of it. So.
I'm sure that when you look back at your time in Owen Sound, it was only a season that you got to spend here, but this is kind of a place where even if you're not here for a long time, you can make fast friends with your teammates. Obviously, the community is pretty awesome here. What are you going to remember about Owen Sound as you move forward in your life and your career?
No, yeah, Owen Sound was awesome. Obviously, I knew Coach Razor before with Mason playing on the Bulldogs, so that kind of made it easy coming in here. But yeah, no, like you said, making new friends. Obviously, I live with Lenny Greenberg, so that was a lot of fun this year. He welcomed me in pretty well, and we got along really well. And he's a friend that's going to last forever. And obviously, all the guys. You're part of a new team. It's obviously tough coming in, but everyone made it easy coming in, so it's been great.
Who do you want to say thank you to that has helped you get to this point in your hockey career? I'm sure, obviously, your family they've probably been the biggest people in helping you get to this point in your life.
Yeah, no, you're right on. No, obviously, I want to thank my mom and my dad, and all the countless hours they put in before getting drafted to the OHL. It goes unnoticed, but I notice that stuff and I appreciate it a lot. And then obviously a thank you to the Bulldogs. They're obviously the start of my career, so it was great. And then obviously thank you to Owen Sound too for letting me come in here this year. I was over in the BCHL for a couple weeks, and Scott and the coaching staff took a shot on me, and it ended up working out, and I appreciate it. So.
What do you think is next for you? It's still, this season's not even done, but if you start to look forward to what's next season going to be, any plans, anything in the works, anything that you can talk about or maybe not talk about, which is fine, but is there something concrete yet in your hockey future?
Yeah, no, I'm still making a decision here. Obviously with the NCAA opening up, I have a couple decisions to make. There's a few teams that I'm looking at. I don't know. I'm just kind of up in the air. It's all new to us older guys. Just trying to get stuff sorted out, like school and stuff. So, but I'm trying to go to school. Hopefully, I think. But yeah, that's my plan as of right now.
All right, Noah. Well, the good news is the job's not done yet. You still got some more hockey to play with the Attack. So, enjoy the win, rest up, and we'll see you for Game 1 of the playoffs.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Lenny Greenberg came to the Attack from the BCHL last season, and he just finished his first full season in the Ontario Hockey League. Unfortunately, because he's an overager, it's his last season. But what a way to go out of your junior hockey career than with the season that Lenny Greenberg just had. We talk about the future and the memories. Here's Lenny after the game on Saturday night.
All right, Lenny Greenberg, that is the final regular season game of your OHL career. Obviously, there's still more hockey to play, but looking back at the game here tonight, I'm sure that is going to be one you probably remember for a long, long time about ending your regular season career.
Yeah, I mean, we got the job done. Not the prettiest, but we'll take it. 2 points.
The team, obviously, it seemed at one point it was a lofty goal to finish in 6th place, but that's exactly what happened, especially the play of the team the last couple of weeks where it seemed like everything was starting to click again, things were getting better, systems were working better. Just tell me about the last couple of weeks and how things have progressed to this point where now you guys have picked up, I believe it's points in 10 of your last 14 games.
Yeah, no, basically since Christmas, this whole season, honestly, ups and downs. That's how it'll go. But, yeah, the past 2 weeks really dug deep for us and, stuck to the system, stuck to the plan, and, got the results we wanted with pretty good points. And, yeah, 6th, now we got to make something happen as the 6th seed. So pretty excited for that.
The OHL career is going to be coming to an end soon here. And obviously, it wasn't a long career in just the OHL because you were out in the BCHL before this. When you look back at your time in these years of playing junior hockey, what memories do you have that you're never going to forget, whether it was something that happened here in Owen Sound or something that happened out west?
I think just, first game anywhere, first game at the Bayshore, first game over there in the BC, first goals, that's pretty memorable, and just just soaking it all in because it flies by pretty quickly. So, just take it all in for sure.
I'm sure during the course of your hockey career up to this point, there's been a lot of people that have, really helped you get to where you are, family, coaches, other fellow players. Just wondering if there's any that really meant a lot to you and that you'd want to acknowledge based on the fact that you've gotten this far now.
Pretty thankful for, honestly, everybody that I've crossed paths with or coached, been teammates with, and honestly, I can't, no name specifically, but just everyone, including billet parents, billet families, not even my own billet parents. Everyone's done so much for us, and they really make junior hockey.
The time here in Owen Sound, just over a year since you arrived. Well, what do you think you might remember when you think about Owen Sound? Whether it was something that happened at the arena, or maybe something outside the arena, maybe a favorite restaurant. What are some of your favorite Owen Sound memories?
I think I'll just remember it as being cold.
Good enough for a kid from California. What's next for you? I believe St. Mary's University is in the future with Noah Roberts. Is that correct?
Yeah, Sacred Heart University with Robbie. It'll be quite fun. Really excited for that. Looking forward to it, and just looking forward to that. But no, we got a job to do in playoffs first.
Do you know what, out of curiosity, what you might be planning to study as you move forward in your hockey and academic career?
Classic hockey answer, probably some business, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, as you mentioned, the job's not done yet, Lenny, so enjoy the victory tonight, as crazy as that game was, and we'll see you for Game 1.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Noah Roberts is another key piece to the Owen Sound Attack blue line that will unfortunately not be around next season because Noah is our third overager that we are saying goodbye to this week. Here's my conversation with Noah on Saturday at the Bayshore.
All right, Noah, another of our traditional year end of season overager interviews. This is going to mark the last regular season game for you. I'm going to start by asking you about that crazy game that you'll probably never forget, this final regular season game.
That's completely true. I'll never forget that one. Probably for not a good reason. Obviously, I just can't really believe that happened, but we got out of there unscathed. We got the 2 points. All that matters.
And also with that 2 points, now more wins and more points than the Attack had last season. Now also 6th place, which I think is the highest finish now in almost 10 years for the team. That puts you into playoffs now, moving in the right direction. How confident are the boys now? Despite, we'll keep this game maybe out of the memory, but despite that, how confident is this group feeling?
I mean, we're feeling confident. I feel like the last 2 weeks, other than a couple games, like last night and tonight, I'd say, our third period, I feel like we've been playing our best hockey, getting back to the way we were playing at the start of the season. And the last 2 weeks, we had a pretty good stretch, and obviously we can't have these games happen, though. I need to get out of our mindset, so, yeah.
It was obviously it's a bittersweet night. They honored you and Noah Nelson and Lenny Greenberg before the game tonight. When you look back at your career in the OHL, obviously spent here and with the Bulldogs organization, do you have any favorite memories of your time in the Ontario Hockey League?
I mean, I have a lot. Obviously, my first year we won the championship, and
like those guys, those veteran guys, were so nice to us and made us feel included. Even though I think I played 14 games. I mean, like we were just one of the guys. Everyone was so tight, and I feel like we're gonna need to have a team like that to make a run and make a push. And I think we can do it. Personally, I think we can. I think we've struggled as a group in the past, but now I think we realize that it's serious and we can finally pull through and maybe string some wins together.
Who are some people, when you look back on your hockey journey, some people that really helped you get here, family, coaches, fellow players that you want to give a shout out to?
I mean, I had Jay McKee and Andrew Campbell in my first year, and Soupy, Andrew Campbell, best guy. I mean, I learned a lot from him. And I remember one thing he'd always tell me is just be a sponge, like soak up everything you can when you're watching these guys. Like I got a pleasure and honor to be a part of the team with Arbor Jackeye and Colton Kammer and Nate Staios, like all those guys that are really good players. I mean, obviously watching them growing up, it helps to, kind of try to copy it. Obviously not with some of those guys. Most of those guys are in pro hockey now, but obviously just take some things and try to implement in my own game.
When you look back at Owen Sound specifically, is there anything that's going to stand out in your memory, whether it was maybe something at the arena or maybe something away from the arena, maybe a favorite restaurant or something?
I mean, favorite restaurant for me is probably Caseros or Shanny's. Those two are great. I mean, Andy Plater, he's my billet, and he's the best guy ever. Him and Tracy and Hill, I mean, they've been amazing with me the entire year. So obviously a big shout out to them. Like, it made this year and the transition as well. I mean, I feel like keep moving teams and stuff like that, it gets in your head a little bit, but they're super nice and super welcoming, so that helped a lot. And also being with Noah Nelson, I mean, that was huge for me. Like coming from Sudbury and having him here already kind of just helped me get the groove in was nice.
Obviously, there's still some hockey to play before you're officially done your OHL career, but looking forward to the future. You're committed to Sacred Heart, NCAA. You won't be going alone. Lenny Greenberg is also committed. What does that mean to know that you've got a very familiar face going with you?
Oh, it's great. I mean, me and Greeny got really close to this year, so I mean, I'm really excited. I think we might live together as well. So, nice. I mean, we're really excited for that chapter of our lives, and it's just basically restarting our hockey careers. I mean, we started at the bottom of the totem pole again. We're rookies next year, so I mean, it's fun. It's fun. I'm excited to have another 4 years at it.
Anything you're planning to study when you get to school?
Yeah, I'm studying business. I'm just not sure which strain yet, but there's it's more kind of out in the open right now. So yeah.
All right. Well, obviously a bright future ahead of you, but the present still exists, and you've still got the playoffs. So enjoy the win, and we'll see you for Game 1.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You know, as entertaining as that game was on Saturday night, it was probably a nightmare for the coaching staff. I don't really ask Reagan too many questions about the game on Saturday night, but we do talk about it a little bit and also about the playoffs ahead. Here's my conversation with assistant coach Reagan O'Grady after the Attack's overtime win on Saturday night.
First off, that was a wild game. You know what? A 6-1 win probably would have been boring. So it was nice that we were all treated to an entertaining game. The results all went the way that Owen Sound would want. But when you look at something as crazy as that must have been maybe one of the craziest junior hockey games you've ever been involved in. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I guess we gave the fans lots to cheer about on both sides. I saw a lot of blue jerseys in the stands. But you know what? It's kind of that time in the season where, you know, for us as a staff, we felt like we, you know, needed to use this game, obviously, to win, to take care of business, which we did, but not the right way. And I think, you know, we're right around the corner. Every game is a playoff game. And, you know, when you don't fine-tune your details, you know, it's going to be hard to win. I know we're sitting here kind of standings, figuring out all the different scenarios, whether it's Flint or Windsor starting on Thursday night. It's something that we got to be ready for. I think we got to get back to the drawing board. We got to, you know, kind of grease out some wins, you know, no different than Wednesday night here against Flint. And yeah, we've got to be ready. We've got to play a full 60 minutes. We've got to play an Owen Sound in-your-face hard style to play against. And, you know, if we get into a track meet and we're careless and reckless, I think the two words you could use here tonight, you know, we're not going to end up on the right side. So we're going to watch this, we're going to learn from it, and we're going to get ready for Game 1.
I think when you look back at this game, obviously some lessons that you're going to apply, as you mentioned there, and obviously you don't know who you're going to play yet in round 2. Have you thought much about, based on the results you've seen this week, about maybe a potential starting goaltender in game 1?
Yeah, obviously, we felt like we've used Matty a little bit more probably than Trenton down the stretch here. As far as, game 1 goes, I think there's going to be some dissecting. I think there's going to be some conversations. We feel that if our goalies can just give us a chance to win, make the routine save, it gives us a good chance to win in any given night. And, we're not asking to make them the 10-bell save like Corpy did on that 2-on-0, kind of 2-on-1. But, if they give us a chance, we got to do a job in front of them. And I feel that, it can be anybody's crease right now. And we'll dissect over the next 24 to 48 hours and come up with a plan here.
Despite everything that's happened this season, the injuries, the multiple long losing streaks, this attack team still finishes 6th, which is an improvement over last season. I think the highest they finished in about 8 years or more now. You finished with more wins than last year. It's one more win, but it's more wins, more points than last year. So all in all, it's improvement when you look at it, despite everything that's happened. In the last couple of weeks, the play has been much, much better than what it was previously. Now picking up, I believe it's points in 10 out of the last 14 games. Do you kind of feel like it's just starting to come together at the right time, and you're seeing the kind of improvement that you wanted to see as you head into the playoffs? Because you want to come in on a good foot.
Yeah. Would you have said that 24 hours ago? I would tend to agree. I think the last 24 hours has really valuable lessons for our group to learn from. If we want to make a run at this and test the limits, I think we match up well. Talking to a Kitchener Ranger player, they didn't really want to play us in the first round because of they know that the style that we play. And I think it's kudos to our guys when we want to play the right way. We're a team that's a tough out any way that you look at it. But for us, obviously, you look at all the other external things that have happened. There was times of doubt. There was times of dark, gloomy days, as the Owen Sound Gray likes to kind of roll in over the sky. But for us, it's just a matter of understanding where we're at. I think that get rid of the last 2 games. A lot of points in the last little while here. We hope it's trending in the right direction. We hope that our leadership group can step up and really rally this group here for what could be a fun and exciting time here at the Bayshore. And it's easy to sit here and point the fingers and say, what could it have been, what should it have been. But at the end of the day, we have a plan in place. We know what's going on. It's one day at a time. And I've said that, over this year, is we can't look and we can't change the past. We can't predict the future, and we got to be present where our feet are. We got to understand that, there's a task at hand every single day to get, maximize the potential of every single player in that dressing room, whether it's, NHL draft, getting off to school, graduating after 4 or 5 years in this league, and make sure that, that next step is a big step and they're ready for the challenge. And, it starts with game 1 here at the playoffs. Really understanding the last 24 to 48 hours was not what we wanted to do, but you know what? It's out the window now. It's in the rear view, and we're going to be ready to go.
All right, clean slate starts on Thursday, Coach. Whether it's Windsor or Flint, good luck, safe travels, and best of luck in Game 1.
Awesome. Thanks, JC.
Well, the Media Room Roundtable got together on Saturday night. We were bumped out of our main big room that we usually gather in, and we were all along the hallway. I think they had some sort of a sale or something was happening at the Bayshore on Saturday, so it was kind of neat. You'll actually hear some fans walking by. We had a lot of Kitchener Rangers fans walking by as we recorded the episode, and that actually was good practice for us because we are going to do a live recording of the Media Room Roundtable for the fans, and that's going to happen before the first home game coming up on Monday, March 30th. This will likely be a 5:30 start time at the Bay Shore, so you can get in a little bit early so that you can see the Media Room Roundtable and ask questions of myself and the boys on the roundtable. We'll be sending out details on our social media and on the Owen Sound Attack social media next week, but we are going to do this as something special before the first playoff home game, so looking forward to that. More details will be coming out, but if you are going to playoff game number 1, plan to get there a little bit early for the live recording of the Media Room Roundtable. Here's the boys on Saturday night before the game at the Bay Shore.
All right, Media Room Roundtable is getting together for the final time this regular season, Saturday, March 21st at the Bay Shore. Kitchener Rangers, opponent in game number 68 for Owen Sound. First, let's talk about the big thing that always happens when you get to the end of the regular season, and that is a goodbye, a formal goodbye to the Overage Players. And for Owen Sound this year, it's Noah Nelson, Noah Roberts, and Lenny Greenberg, otherwise known as Lenny and the Noahs, which pending would be a great rock band name, I think. But what do we think about these 3 players and what they're going to be leaving behind with their junior careers now ending? I think all individually, they've had pretty good seasons for Owen Sound. Lenny Greenberg, of course, one of the top point-producing defensemen in the OHL, really developed well from the moment he got here from the BCHL last season. Noah Nelson, that veteran that spent his entire career with the Brantford Bulldogs organization, comes in and is just stellar every time he's on the ice, just consistent, plays a good physical, hard game. And speaking of physical and hard game, Noah Roberts on the blue line. What do you think about this year's crop of OAs that we're saying goodbye to?
Who wants to take that one first? I'll jump in if you guys want. I think it's interesting to look at this overage group because, well, for all 3 of them, they probably never imagined their junior hockey career would bring them to Owen Sound. 2 of them obviously coming into this league with lots of tenure in the Noahs that you refer to, but I'd imagine when they started their OHL careers, and spending lots of time in that Bulldogs organization where there was, for Noah Nelson, for example, I mean, the opportunity to be a part of a championship team at such a young age, you probably think that's where you're going to end up, right? Like, that's where your junior hockey career is going to start. That's where it's going to finish. And then you realize is that getting to the overage year, it's kind of odd that the final year you can play in junior can be one of the most cutthroat because there's only so many jobs out there. And I think the big thing for Noah Nelson, for example, is that he had an opportunity, a team that saw value in bringing him in where they weren't looking at him just to be something that he wasn't. They just wanted to come in, play his game, and be a good veteran leader. Noah Roberts was coveted last year at the trade deadline, and then obviously the Attack identified him as a piece they wanted to acquire in the offseason. And after you talk about the Noahs, you go to Lenny Greenberg, and up until a year ago, there was never really a thought that a Lenny Greenberg would be in the OHL, right? So it's just funny the journeys that hockey can take you on, and I think all 3 have performed very well and can look back on their junior hockey careers very fondly and look at them as successful, whether you won a championship or not. And Lenny Greenberg, to me, has just been he's been a good player to watch, a fun player to watch for the last year, because when he showed up here, we didn't know anything about him. I wasn't sure he was going to be an OA candidate. I think he has taken his game up so many levels and become such a reliable player and a top defenseman in this league.
I had a conversation with Noah Roberts when the Attack made their lone trip to Brantford this season, and the Bulldogs had a recognition for Noah last year when he left Sudbury, and Noah Nelson at that game just because of the time that they both spent with that organization. I think it was special for both Noah Roberts and Noah Nelson to land in Owen Sound together for their overage seasons because their junior hockey path was so intertwined to them. They were both selections of then the Hamilton Bulldogs in the 2021 OHL priority selection and kind of had a similar path as Mark alluded to. They were around a championship team in their first experience in the Ontario Hockey League and then grew in the Bulldogs organization, and then that their paths took them to Owen Sound for their final years. So I think it was special for them to be able to play their OA seasons together in this setting. And as Mark talked about with Lenny, all I can do is echo that, right? Like what a player he's been and how it's been fun to watch him develop here in the OHL, and something that, as Mark said, you can't really say more than that. Wouldn't even not have been possible if not for the NCAA rule change. So pretty cool. A bit different when you think about someone who came into the league as a 19-year-old rookie, right? But it's nonetheless, he's a veteran player and a leader on this group, and deserves all the recognition that any overager should get.
I think we spoke about it earlier this year, Matt, when we talked about without Banks and Lenny, when they're having the battle for the most top point-getting defenseman on this team, about how without Lenny, without Banks, where would this team be? And I think that's kind of the acumen you had for Lenny as a skater, as a puck handler, as a passer. And again, he now leads by a little bit of a margin. I believe it's 5 or 6 points now. He has the defensive lead on this team for points.
Do they know about this battle? We should ask them.
Well, that's a great point. Do they know about this battle? Well, I think I asked Lenny about it that night, actually, and asked him, because obviously they're D partners and they obviously both Americans as well. But one other thing to mention it is you talk about how the Noahs have the connection with Hamilton/Brantford. Now Lenny and Roberts are both going to Sacred Heart University. They were going to play together. I know we talked about that on Attack Wrap when all the OAs came on with Nick Kennedy about how those two guys will maybe a deep partnership in the NCAA level too. So it's as Mark mentioned it's I'll say family, but it's such a small community and such a tight community that these relationships last a lifetime.
Yeah, I'll just say, from, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but from a media member standpoint, the overagers are always so awesome to talk to because they're so mature and they've been in the league for so long. They're usually a bit less guarded. They'll explain the game in a way that's fulsome and enlightening. And these guys, especially this year, like Lenny and the two Noahs, have just been unreal to talk to about hockey, even about what they want to do in their lives and stuff. It's been kind of neat to have them as people to interview post-game and kind of get a look at what's going on in the team. And Lenny's story specifically from El Segundo, California, is kind of just wild journey. So, yeah, good careers, and we'll miss them here in Owen Sound.
All right, guys, we won't really talk about the playoffs because here we are on the last game of the regular season for Owen Sound. Tomorrow's the last day, and nothing is set in stone at this point, so there's no point in trying to predict what the next week is going to bring in terms of a potential playoff opponent, but we will get to see another potential first-round matchup tonight. Owen Sound could have made this situation a lot easier on themselves with a victory in Guelph on Friday night, and as successful as this team has played in the last couple of weeks, I think it's now picking up points in 9 out of 13 games, which when you've strung together a couple 7-8 game losing streaks in the course of a season, it's pretty impressive that you're kind of going out on that bit of a higher note. But coming off of what was arguably one of their best games of the season against Flint on Wednesday, and then strolling into a 5-game losing streak of the Guelph Storm, how do you come out with that effort last night? Is there any way to explain it?
I have no explanation for it, guys. And I told Matt last night during the radio broadcast that, to me, Owen Sound beating them a week ago here at the Bayshore was not revenge for the 8-1 loss 2 Fridays ago at the Sleeman Center. To give them that receipt, you had to beat them in their own building. And I thought that would have been a motivated hockey club, and they came out flat. They weren't ready to go. The first couple minutes there, they gave up a goal against, but, Trenton Bennett's has to make a couple big saves right off the hop. Finally, the third shot beats them. They can't string together passes. And it just leaves me like how I've been feeling all season long, which is with just questions and no answers. I just cannot figure out what goes on with this hockey club. I will say this. I don't think you always talk about the mental side of hockey, and you talk about having to come in prepared, and playing a good game kind of gives you that belief that you can go out there and maybe hang with some top teams. I've never ever sensed this team doesn't have any belief or that they don't have any confidence. For a 6th, maybe 8th place team in the Western Conference, they probably mentally, a lot of those guys think of themselves as elite players, right? An elite team they could be. So it's hard to explain. And I wonder if maybe that's a little part of it. Maybe they don't play with enough of a chip on their shoulder.
I just want to touch on what you said right there, because I had this conversation with Scott Ray a couple games ago. You just mentioned a lot of these players think they're elite players. I think that's what gets them into trouble. Taking penalties, there's stuff in the game that gets them in trouble. But just that mentality. I think this team needs to understand that, not everyone can be a quarterback. You need some big uglies in there, some linemen. I think they play the best when they're playing that way, a lot of them. Like, look at guys like Sikora and Caden Taylor specifically, guys that have the skill to be elite players, or they think of themselves as elite potentially, but I think they're their best when they're not playing that game, when they're playing aggressively and they're playing a chippier style, and I think the team as a whole plays better that way. So I think that's like the big thing with this team is when and I think they play well against good teams because they're forced to play that way. We're not going to run and gun with this team. We're not going to outscore this team. We need to curtail our game, play a bit harder of game, and they are forced to play that way, and it does them well. So I think they just need to, understand that.
The Bear Tracker Weekly podcast, by the way, is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Funny you say that, because we actually, I was going to talk to you good boys about potentially doing an actual live recording in front of people for Game 1. But we'll talk about that after this.
We're in, JC.
I want to jump in because I was listening to Matt and Mark talk, and at the end of the game, I remember Matt asked Mark, a lot of M's here, about what he thought the turning point was or what he thought was the big moment. He said it was first goal, minute and a half in, Guelph scores, and he said it felt like from that on, you kind of mentioned it there, that they just came out flat. And I texted my mom when it hit 3-1, when they scored the third one. I texted my mom and said, thank goodness we don't play Guelph in the first round, because they just can't win in the Sleeman Center right now. They've been bad. Again, JC mentioned it. They've had 9 games where they get points, and 13. They've got 8 in a row here at home where they've won or gone to overtime at least. Just seems like the Sleeman Center's kind of been their kryptonite the last month or so, and
they're going to have to figure it out before the Memorial Cup next year.
Yeah,
they're going to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, hey, this could be a very different team. I think every team's going to be very different going into next year. I think we've kind of spoken about that with the NCAA agreement, but no, it's again, I guess miffed a little bit is the way I'll describe it. As kind of Mark kind of mentioned it there. It's just I don't know this team. 9-2 start, some trades are made, 8-game losing streak, 7-game losing streak in there, and then they have this great end of the year where you're kind of thinking, well, maybe this team's figuring it out at the right time. Maybe they're quote unquote peaking at the right time, and then they lose 8-1 in Guelph, and then they have another pretty stinker there in Guelph after playing great in Kitchener, having good against Flint. Just it's weird.
What I will say is what was surprising about it all is again, not to echo Mark too much, but it's hard to peg down this team.
Yeah.
They lack consistency, right? But what surprised me the most is that I think they were coming off one of the biggest wins. You can put it up there in terms of biggest wins of the season over the Flint Firebirds on Wednesday because of what that game meant to Flint. Flint, there's still a chance that they could win the West Division, this weekend, but it put the door to Flint's West Division title hopes down to almost nothing. So it was a high-stakes game on Wednesday for their opponent, and that's a top opponent in the Western Conference, and the Attack won that game. So that's what surprised me when you have a game like that 2 days before, and then you come into Guelph, and similarly the stakes are a bit higher for you, at least what you're telling yourselves that's very important at the time. We want to get 6. Is it that important? I don't know. It really doesn't, 6th, 7th, or 8th, they're in the playoffs. They know that. Maybe it was a lack of motivation. I'm not sure. But, you build this thing up to being an important game in terms of your quest or your collective effort to get 6th, and then it sort of falls flat. So it was surprising seeing that in such close proximity to what they did against the Flint Firebirds 2 days prior.
Well, and I'll just piggyback off of that. I agree with you how important Flint was as a win, but I think their first period was kind of rough. I think they got better as that game went on, and in that second period, they really dominated. In that third period, they were able to come out with the win. But I feel like that first period was, again, Bennett was really keeping a minute at times and was really, playing his best hockey. And I think, again, even though you could say yesterday wasn't their best performance, Bennett was really good, and a big reason why they were, I'll say, as close as they were at the end, and were able to get the extra attacker out there and get to 5-3, right? So, I mean, it's just that thing where sometimes it feels like they kind of need a goalie to keep them in games to let them kind of finally get their, act together, if you will.
Well, I guess the one thing you can say about this team, there's a lot of nights where they go out and they lose to teams they should beat, and then there's nights where they surprise you and beat teams that you don't think that they're going to play well against, and maybe that factors in well for the playoffs where, hey, maybe they win a game or two.
And this is a weird game tonight. I know we're recording before the game against Kitchener, but they're sitting 9 of their top players, so, you would like to think you should win this game, but is that this team? I'm not in the dressing room. I don't know what goes on between the years, but yeah, there's something about this group. I think maybe Greg Cowan for once had a good point, and that was that this team, whatever you said there before, you can probably just replay it. Why are you leaving, Greg?
We're not done.
But no, what you said, right? It's they play to their opponent, right? Yeah. And then that is exactly what this team might be. So, on another note, I know this isn't the Storm Tracker Weekly podcast, although that name would have worked well too, actually. But you think we have questions here in Owen Sound? The Guelph Storm, I got some work to do. George Burnett maybe has the funnest job in the OHL right now because you're building a team that is in the Memorial Cup for sure. But I've been watching that team the last couple of months thinking everything should be an audition for these guys. And
Guelph's very own, right?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Matt, jumping on Bear Radio like that. But man, they're going to have to do a lot of work. There's going to be quite the flip of that roster, I think.
Caleb Maholtra as the second part back from that Jet Levchenko trade should help.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just still an audio podcast at times, Greg. So for everybody listening, there was some winking going on. But yes, I would expect that to happen.
All right.
JC, you're not wrapping yet, are you?
What's that?
I got a question for you. You can close this out. You don't want to get into the playoffs too much yet, do you?
No.
Okay. Well, there's one thing we could ask with the unknowns of who the Attack will play, right?
Okay.
It's been more than 1,400 days since the Owen Sound Attack have won a playoff game. Back-to-back seasons where they faced the eventual Memorial Cup champion, swept in 3 straight playoff series. So I'm going to take the host for a moment here, the host duties, and ask everyone, will this be the season where the Owen Sound Attack end that drought, which is the longest in the OHL, and win a postseason game?
I'll start since I'm the formal host, and I'll say yes. In fact, I think they reasonably, and the question mark was answered against Flint, reasonably, if that ends up being your opponent, or whether it's Windsor or Kitchener, 1 or 2 games is a possibility, I think.
I hope they win one at home. I think they get game 3. I think they win at least 1.
It's easy to say yes because they just have to win 1 game out of 7, right?
Out of 4, but yes.
Yeah, but yes.
Yeah.
I want to. You know me. I want to say no to be contrarian, but if I'm thinking objectively, yes, they can win a game.
I'm the last one to go.
I'm going to go too.
Okay, okay. Well, I'll go right now.
Doing it all.
I'm going to answer this as honestly and truthfully as possible. Yes. What else am I supposed to say, Matt? Come on, you can't do that. There's people walking by, but no. But realistically, if they show up and they play their best game and they get good, maybe great goaltending is what it might actually take.
Yeah.
But they are certainly capable of winning a game.
Yeah. Well, that's the point that I was going to make too. Is that yes, and they've beaten all 3 teams that they might face in the first round this season at least once, and that's the other point. They're not playing a super team. I'll put it that way. There's not really that in the OHL this season. There's no 50-win teams. It's a different landscape. Don't get me wrong. The tops in each conference are very, very good hockey teams, but I just think there's a little bit more parity. There's not that AHL team playing in the OHL sort of going on this season. So there's opportunity. The Attack are they're a talented team, so can they put it together to win a series? That's a much tougher question, but it starts with 1 game, and I think they'll be able to do that.
And maybe this, what we were talking about, this confident group, right? Not cocky necessarily, but this group that, they believe that they are top-end hockey players. If, to Spencer's point, they pull out a win in Game 3, there's a little more runway to go, and maybe they get a couple, right? So I'm like you. I don't see... I don't see the powerhouse that's running right through the Western Conference like we have in some years. But to me, I guess the 4-5 matchup, London and the Sioux, could go either way. But, I'd color me shocked if 6, 7, or 8 pull off the first round upset.
All right. Well, by the time you listen or watch this,
you're hosting again?
Know.
Yeah.
What's that?
I'll wrap it up. Thanks for listening to the Bear Tracker Weekly. We'll be back next week, possibly live. I'll have to buy a suit for Matt.
Again. You're wearing your suit again for the playoffs like last year.
As I was going to say, thank you, Greg. That was wonderful.
Wait, JC, I have a question. I saw one of the Instagram people ask, would Attack Updates get a chance to come on and join us?
I did see that. That was a question that was submitted by, I think it was Brandon Caputo actually sent that one in.
Well, we have a platform for viewer questions? Oh, yes. This is interesting.
Well,
on social media. They don't happen very often.
Oh, okay.
But more than welcome to. Anyway, by the time you listen or watch this, you should know who the Attack are playing, and hopefully by that time, the playoff tickets will be on sale at attackhockey.com, and we can have a few more sellouts in the playoffs. Gentlemen, I know you have all got to go somewhere, so thank you all very much, and we'll put details out as soon as we know about that possible live recording of the roundtable, so you can come and throw popcorn at Greg and laugh at the rest of us.
Yeah, he'll eat it.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
He doesn't need the mic.
Well, there you have it. Episode 27 comes to an end. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Whether you're listening or watching, don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. Also, thank you to Rogers TV Grey County for airing this episode as well, and all of the episodes of the Bear Tracker Weekly Podcast. Thank you to our guests this week, the Overagers, Lenny and the Noahs, Lenny Greenberg, Noah Roberts, no one else. Nelson, also assistant coach Reagan O'Grady, the boys from the Media Room Roundtable, Mark, Greg, Matt, and Spencer, and Adrien Mousseau as well. Thank you all so much for taking your time and talking to me and answering my dumb questions this week. Really appreciate it. Now let's look ahead to the playoffs, shall we? The Flint Firebirds will be the round 1 opponent. We know this for sure. We know the schedule. It will start on Thursday in Flint for Game 1. That'll be a 7 o'clock start. Game 2 will go on Saturday, March 28th, also at 7 o'clock in Flint, which is not a crazy drive for Attack fans, and kind of a nice arena too at the Dort Financial Center. I got there earlier this season for an Attack game, so might be one for Attack fans if you want to do a little road trip to go and cheer on your team in those first 2 games, which will be on the road in Flint. The first game in Owen Sound, Game 3, will be Monday, March 30th, and then Game 4 will be going on Wednesday, April 1st. Tickets should be going on sale Monday, I believe, at attackhockey.com. So snap up those tickets quickly. The last few home games were sellouts, and I imagine the playoff games will be sellouts as well. So get those tickets quick. And again, don't forget, we'll be doing that Media Room Roundtable live recording before Game 1 at home, Game 3, I should say, of the playoffs, 5:30 at the Bay Shore. Details will be officially released this week, early this week, so you can prepare and mark it on your schedules and plan to get to the Bay Shore a little bit early and be a part of a recording for the Media Room Roundtable. Again, thank you, everyone, for listening this week. Thank you again to all of my guests. It's an exciting time. We're going into the OHL Playoffs. We'll have a lot to talk about next week, but in the meantime, enjoy the few days off, and we will see you at the rink for the playoffs. Cheers.
Remember to like, follow, and subscribe at Bear Tracker Pod on social media and wherever you get your podcasts.